Have you ever asked yourself the question, amidst the explosion of technology, of productivity gains that should have made life easier for everyone, why is your life getting harder? Why does the end of the month arrive faster, the grocery bill feel heavier, the dream of owning a home feel like a fantasy from a past generation? You are told this is the result of unfortunate, unforeseen events, a global pandemic, a war in a distant land, a series of tragic accidents. But what if they are not accidents at all? What if inflation and recession are not bugs in the system, but features? What if they are tools, wielded with deliberate precision? The story you are being sold is a masterpiece of public relations, repeated so often it has acquired the veneer of truth. You hear it from the smooth-tongued news anchors and the grave-faced politicians. They tell you that the unprecedented printing of trillions of dollars was a necessary act of compassion to save us from the pandemic. Then, when the inevitable inflation arrived, they had a new script ready. It wasn't the money printing, they insisted. It was the supply chains, fractured by lockdowns. It was a shipping container stuck in a canal. It was, and still is, Vladimir Putin's fault, a convenient villain for a global problem. And now, to save you from the very inflation they created, the central bankers, the high priests of our financial system, tell you they must administer a bitter medicine. They must raise interest rates. They admit, with a calculated sigh, that this will cause pain, that it might trigger a recession, a soft landing, they hope, a necessary sacrifice, they say, to restore balance. It is an elegant narrative. It is also a lie. Let us step away from the television screen for a moment. Let us turn off the noise and look at the world with our own eyes. If this was a crisis of scarcity caused by broken supply chains, why did the largest corporations in the world, from oil and gas to pharmaceuticals and consumer goods, report the largest profits in human history? If the pie was shrinking, how did their slice become so gargantuan? The story doesn't fit the facts. And what of the medicine they are now administering, this cure of high interest rates? We are told it is meant to cool down the economy. But whose economy is it cooling? Does it cool the economy of BlackRock, the financial behemoth that owns a piece of almost every major company you can name? Does it cool the private jets flying into Davos for the World Economic Forum to discuss climate change? No. The cooling is felt by the small business owner, whose loan payments have just doubled, strangling his life's work. It is felt by the young family who sees their mortgage rate soar, pushing their dream home forever out of reach. It is felt by you every time you use a credit card. It is a weapon disguised as a cure, and it is aimed directly at the heart of the middle class and the independent entrepreneur. This is not incompetence. This is not a series of policy mistakes. What you are witnessing is a controlled demolition, a deliberate, meticulously planned transfer of wealth and power on a scale never before seen. Step 1. Under the cover of a global health crisis, inject the system with an impossible amount of currency. They called it stimulus, but it was a planned overdose. They knew, with absolute certainty, that this would devalue the money in your bank account and trigger hyperinflation. This wasn't a side effect, it was the primary objective. Inflation is a tax, the most insidious of them all. It is a silent thief that robs you of your savings, of your future. It forces you to work harder just to stand still, making you weaker, more desperate, and more dependent on the state for survival. Step 2. Deny responsibility. As the fire of inflation began to rage, they pointed their fingers everywhere else. The pandemic, the supply chains, the war. They created the problem, and then they expertly managed the public's perception of it, cultivating a climate of fear and uncertainty. They made you believe that the world was simply falling apart, a victim of chaotic, uncontrollable forces. Step 3. Propose the pre-planned solution. Now, riding in as saviors on white horses, the very institutions that created the crisis offer the only way out. They use the inflation they engineered as the justification to raise interest rates to punishing levels. This is the kill shot. This is the mechanism that separates the powerful from the powerless. The mega corporations, flush with cash from the initial bailout, can weather this storm. They can even profit from it, buying up bankrupt smaller competitors and foreclosed homes for pennies on the dollar. They consolidate their power, eliminating competition, while you are left to sink. This is not a theory. This is the playbook of an economic war being waged against you. They are not trying to fix the old system. They are clearing the rubble to build a new one. The chaos, the pain, the fear, it is all part of the blueprint. It is designed to break you, to make you so desperate for a return to stability that you will accept any solution they offer. And they have a solution waiting, an ultimate solution. When the dust settles from this demolition, when businesses are wiped out and individual wealth has been decimated, they will emerge from behind the curtain. They will offer a world without financial anxiety, a world of safety and predictability, but it will come at a price. They created the problem. They are managing your reaction, and the solution they will present will not be for your benefit. It will be for your enslavement. The question is no longer whether this is happening. The only question now is, what is the final form of the cage they are building? To ask what form the cage will take is to assume the architects are faceless, that the blueprints are a product of some chaotic, natural force. They are not. The demolition of your financial sovereignty is not an act of God. It is an act of committee. What you are experiencing is architecture, and the architects have names. They convene in the sanitized conference rooms of Davos, the hushed marble halls of Basel, and the glass and steel towers of New York. Let us switch on the lights and see who is in the room. First, meet the arsonists, the central banks, the Federal Reserve, the European Central Bank, the Bank of England. You are told they are the firefighters, the responsible stewards rushing in to douse the flames of inflation. This is the greatest inversion of truth. They are the ones who soaked the entire global economy in gasoline. Since 2020, under the guise of COVID relief, the central banks of the G7 nations alone summoned more than $13 trillion out of thin air. Look at a chart of the M2 money supply. It is not a curve, it is a vertical wall. They knew, with the cold certainty of a physicist calculating gravity, that this would ignite a firestorm of inflation. They lied, telling you it was transitory. They lied, and they knew they were lying. And now, the arsonist returns to the scene of the crime, dressed as a hero, demanding control to put out the very fire he started. Their weapon of choice? The interest rate, a blunt instrument that they are not using to cool the economy, but to shatter its foundations. Next, meet the mastermind, the ideological engine room. This is not some shadowy cabal. Their agenda is published in glossy brochures and proclaimed from the stage. They provide the intellectual and moral cover for the demolition. They have given it a name, the Great Reset. They produce the focus group-tested slogans like, "You'll own nothing and you'll be happy," that sound benign until you understand the mechanics. The WEF is the Grand Synovium, the joint where the corporate, political, and financial elite meet to synchronize their movements, to ensure that from London to Tokyo to Washington, everyone is reading from the same script. They don't wield direct financial power. They wield something more potent. They manufacture consent. They create the narrative that makes the unthinkable seem not only necessary, but desirable. Now, look up at the sky. See the shadows circling overhead? Those are the vultures, BlackRock and Vanguard. These are not merely investment firms. They are a new form of empire, a financial leviathan that has no historical precedent. Together, they manage over $20 trillion in assets. They are the largest shareholder in 88% of the companies in the S&P 500. Think about that. They are the top shareholder in Coca-Cola and also in PepsiCo. They are the top shareholder in the big pharmaceutical companies and also in the major media networks that are supposed to report on them. Coincidence? It is control. They are playing a game of Monopoly where they already own Park Place, Boardwalk, and all the railroads before you've even rolled the dice. While the central bank's interest rate hikes are crushing small and medium-sized businesses, with bankruptcy forecasts projected to rise by over 200%, these giants are flush with cash. They are patiently waiting for the blood to be in the streets. They will then descend, not to help, but to feed, buying up distressed family homes, bankrupt businesses, and critical infrastructure for pennies on the dollar. And finally, in the deepest part of the shadow, we find the chief architect, the institution that tells the central banks what to do, the Bank for International Settlements. Located in Basel, Switzerland, the BIS is the central bank for central banks.
It operates with sovereign immunity, beyond the reach of any national law. It is here, in this secretive technocratic sanctum, that the final blueprint for the cage is being designed. The BIS is the global champion and lead designer of central bank digital currencies, the very tool we will see offered as the ultimate solution to the chaos. This is not a cycle, this is a strategy. Imagine a chessboard. They made their opening move by flooding the board with new pieces, the trillions in printed currency. This created the chaos of inflation. Their second move, which looks defensive, is to raise interest rates. But this move is designed to sweep all weaker pieces, your business, your mortgage, your savings, off the board entirely. They are not playing to win. They are playing to clear the board of all other players. The inflation tax was the first blow, a silent, invisible levy on your life's work, designed to weaken you. The interest rate crushing machine is the second, a public execution of the middle class, designed to transfer its assets. For every family that defaults on their mortgage, for every entrepreneur whose business goes under, that wealth does not vanish. It is consolidated. It is absorbed by the very entities that orchestrated the crisis. They are using your pain as the lever to achieve the greatest consolidation of power and wealth in human history. To see who benefits is to understand the crime. And so we know who is doing this. We have identified their primary weapons. But the most terrifying question remains: why? Why this elaborate, ruthless, multi-generational plan? What is the purpose of raising the global economy to the ground? Because what rises from the ashes will not be a rebuilt version of the old world. It will be something entirely new. We have seen the problem they created and the reaction of fear they fostered. In the next chapter, we will examine the solution they have waiting in the wings, a solution that will redefine the very meaning of money and with it, the very meaning of freedom. We have illuminated the room and named the architects. We have inspected their tools, the silent tax of inflation and the crushing hammer of interest rates. We have established that this is not chaos, but a demolition. The final piece of the puzzle, the most critical question, is the one that hangs heavy in the air. Why? Why orchestrate this controlled burn of the global economy? What is the purpose of such a ruthless, coordinated campaign? The answer is deceptively simple. They are not raising the old world just to rebuild it. They are clearing the ground to build something entirely different. You are a witness not just to a crime, but to the birthing of a new paradigm of control. To understand it, you must understand the oldest trick in the playbook of power: problem, reaction, solution. It is a formula, a piece of social engineering as reliable as any law of physics. First, they manufactured the problem. Under the cover of a global health crisis, the central banks, led by the Fed, injected an unprecedented $13 trillion of digital confetti into the system. It was not a mistake. It was a catalyst. They knew it would ignite the fire of inflation, a blaze that would burn through your savings and make your wages feel like they were shrinking in your hands. This was step one: weaken the population, make them desperate. Then they engineered the reaction. As the cost of living became unbearable, as public anger and anxiety mounted, people everywhere began to cry out for someone to do something. They begged their governments and the very institutions that started the fire to put it out. This was step two: harvest the fear. Let the pain become so acute that the public will accept any solution offered, no matter how draconian. And now, as the economic demolition continues, as interest rates suffocate small businesses and families face foreclosure, they are preparing to unveil the solution, a solution they have been designing for years in the quiet, sovereign halls of the Bank for International Settlements. It will be presented not as an ideology, but as a practical necessity. It will be offered as a lifeline to a drowning world. This solution has two parts, a masterstroke of benevolent tyranny. The first is an offer of security, a universal basic income, or UBI, a guaranteed monthly payment deposited directly into your account, a safety net in a world they have made treacherous. The second part is the delivery mechanism for that security, a central bank digital currency, or CBDC. Do not be fooled by the anodyne name. A CBDC is not simply a digital dollar. It is the end of money as we know it. All currency you have ever held, from a gold coin to a paper dollar to a number in your bank app, shared three fundamental properties. It was fungible, anonymous at the point of transaction, and final. CBDC is none of these things. It is programmable money. It is a system of control. Imagine a world where your money is no longer truly yours, a world where the government, your new benefactor through UBI, can decide what you are allowed to buy. Did you exceed your weekly carbon footprint? Your attempt to purchase gasoline is denied at the pump. Did you post something online that was flagged as disinformation? Your funds are frozen pending a review. Did you associate with someone deemed undesirable by the state? A portion of your balance is docked as a digital fine. They will not need to send police to your door. They can enforce compliance with a keystroke. Imagine money with an expiration date, designed to force spending and stimulate an economy they control. Your savings are no longer a store of value for your future, but a temporary voucher to be used or lost. This is not money. This is a digital ration book, a leash that can be shortened or lengthened at the whim of the issuer. It is the perfect marriage of surveillance capitalism and the social credit system, a digital panopticon from which there is no escape because your very ability to participate in society, to buy food, pay rent, exist, is contingent on your absolute obedience. The cage is not made of steel bars. The cage is the currency itself. They created the problem of inflation, they fostered the reaction of fear and economic pain, and now they offer the solution, a perpetual dependence on the state, delivered through a currency of perfect control. It is the final move on the chessboard, a checkmate against human freedom. They are using your pain, the very pain they inflicted, as the leverage to convince you to walk willingly into your own prison. This is not a prophecy. This is the published agenda. Read the white papers from the BIS. Listen to the speeches from the WEF. They are telling you exactly what they intend to do. The question is, are you listening? What is at stake is not merely your wealth. It is your sovereignty. It is the fundamental right to be an individual, to make your own choices, to live without permission. The war for your money is a proxy war for your mind and for your soul. So what can be done? Despair is a luxury we cannot afford. It is the reaction they are counting on. The answer is not to panic, but to prepare. The answer is to become unbreakable. First, you must declare independence. Unplug from the machine of mainstream propaganda. The television is not a window to the world. It is a carefully curated wall of a prison cell designed to manage your perceptions and manufacture your consent. Turn it off. Second, you must become your own intelligence agency. Educate yourself with a ferocity you have never known. Learn about sound money, about gold and silver. Study the history of fiat currency collapses. Understand the decentralized, permissionless alternative that is Bitcoin. Most importantly, read their own documents on CBDC. Know your enemy and know the weapons they intend to use against you. Knowledge is the only light that can disinfect the shadows. Third, you must build your own ark. Think about real, tangible assets that exist outside the digital system they are constructing. Assets they cannot print, cannot program, cannot confiscate with a keystroke. Your financial sovereignty is the bedrock of your personal liberty. And finally, you must become a signal tower. The most dangerous thing to their plan is a conscious and connected populace. Talk to your family, talk to your friends, share this information. Quietly, calmly, but relentlessly. Wake up the person next to you. This is not a battle that can be won alone. It is a war of consciousness. They are closing in on your money because that is the gateway to everything else. But it is only the first front. What happens when they have it? What is the next layer of the control grid? In the next chapter, we will expose their plan for a global digital identity, the system that will link your brand new programmable money to your health records, your social media, and your every movement. You are being conditioned to accept the QR code as the new key to life. Are you ready to become a product in their system?